Part 54. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 531. The appearance of Wang Ao and Meng Suiao. For everyone present, it was naturally a different thing, especially Wang Lei and Meng Lingyuan, who breathed a long sigh of relief. For them, Mo Hong still put a lot of pressure on them. If you can get help from your own sect, you will naturally feel like you have a backing, and you will be overjoyed. After Wang Ao and Meng Suiao walked into the palace respectfully, they first saluted Mo Hong, and then walked to their sect disciples. After seeing that Wang Lei and Meng Lingyuan had no wounds on their bodies, they all breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, the heads of the two major sects also had more questions in their eyes. They also wanted to understand what happened in the secret realm at that time. After all, their two sects can be regarded as the major sects of the Kanglong Empire. At any time, they must carefully handle their relationship with the royal family. With such a big thing happening in the secret realm, they naturally hope to get to the bottom of it. The two sect masters are also here. Then things will be easier to handle. You two can tell us everything you encountered in the secret realm. Who comes first? Mo Hong looked around at Xiao Xian and others. Finally, as expected, he set his sights on Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian was not surprised by this situation. After all, in this secret realm exploration team, he was the strongest except Mo Feng. Before entering the secret realm, no one thought he would be stronger than Mo Feng. Some people also suspect that Xiao Xian, who has no background, will probably encounter danger in the secret realm and even be killed by Wang Lai, Meng Lingyuan and others. But the final result did surprise everyone present. Not only was Xiao Xian safe, but His Highnesses Mo Feng and Mo Zhan died in the secret realm, which had to attract their attention. Let me talk about this. At this moment, Mo Li stood up and told the truth in front of everyone. However, the cause of death of Mo Feng and Mo Zhan was changed to being killed by a purple-striped rat. Wolves kill. During their trip to the secret realm, there is already a scene where you encounter a purple-striped rat. At this time, there weren't many problems with Mo Li's explanation. He just changed some of the plots, which made it hard to see any problems. When Mo Li explained these things, everyone in the meeting hall was listening carefully, especially Mo Hong and other nobles from the Kanglong royal family. They all gritted their teeth but could do nothing. As for Mo Hong, who is an emperor, I did hear something strange in it. After all, even if there are many dangers in the secret realm, it is not so dangerous that no one can deal with it. Moreover, the people who entered the secret realm this time are not weak hands. How could they be solved so easily? Isn't this a joke? What's more, Mo Li was born in the Qinghua Empire anyway. Although the relationship between the Qinghua Empire and the Kanglong Empire has been somewhat relaxed in recent years, there are still some conflicts. Will Mo Li deliberately target Mo Feng and Mo Zhan because of these contradictions? This is entirely possible. However, these are just speculations in his mind for the time being. Without evidence, even if he is the emperor of the Kanglong Empire, he cannot mess with Mo Li. Otherwise it will damage his prestige. I see. However, both His Highnesses Mo Feng and Mo Zhan are princes of the Kanglong Empire. Even if you encounter danger in the secret realm, there seems to be no need for the two Highnesses to take action first, right? Wei Qinglan glanced at Xiao Xian and others and said disdainfully, is it possible that you casual cultivators have no idea of protecting the prince? As the commander of the Kanglong Empire's forbidden army, he was conceited about his status and originally looked down on casual cultivators like Xiao Xian who had no section. Moreover, even Wang Lai Meng Lingyuan was not a person of much status in front of him. Moreover, the identity of the commander of the Forbidden Army is quite powerful in the Kanglong Empire. After he said one sentence, The elders of the royal family in the meeting hall nodded slightly, obviously approving it. Hear this. Xiao Xian frowned slightly. He could tell that although Wei Qinglan did not mention him by name, he was the only casual cultivator among those who entered the secret realm. Even if there are two people, Longfei Longwu, they both have sects. So, isn't the meaning behind Wei Qinglan's words obvious? After understanding this, Xiao Xian couldn't help but look at Wei Qinglan, feeling a little puzzled. He had not been in Kanglong Empire for a long time. He didn't provoke anyone. Why is this Wei Qinglan having trouble with him? What Commander Wei said does make some sense. Mo Hong's face was as dark as water. After looking around at the people, he focused on Xiao Xian. His Majesty. The death of the two highnesses is of great importance. I suggest that all the proud people who entered the secret realm should be gathered together. We will wait until the matter is investigated clearly before solving it. Wei Qinglan stood up and said to Mo Hong respectfully. When he said this, Xiao Xian and others suddenly showed dissatisfaction. Although these words are generous and talk about concentration, anyone with a discerning eye can see that isn't this Wei Qinglan's house arrest? Logically speaking, only the people in the secret realm know what happens in the secret realm. If the royal family wants to find out what happened in the secret realm, it seems that this is the only way. But having said that, it is understandable that Mo Hong wants to find out the whole story, but it is somewhat unjustifiable to put so many people under house arrest for no reason. Among them, the ones with the ugliest expressions were none other than Wang Ao from the Qinglai Palace and Meng Suiao from the Blood Fiend sect. The two heads of their sects are both masters at the 5th level of Kangshen realm. Although there is still some gap between him and Mo Hong, who is at the 7th level of Kangshen realm, he is still a well-known master in the Kanglong Empire. Now, their direct disciple is under house arrest, and his face is naturally a bit upset. Your Majesty, is it against the rules to put my Qinglai Palace disciples under house arrest before the matter is clarified? Wang Ao said in a loud voice, obviously a little angry. Yes, is it possible that His Majesty thinks that our blood evil sect is easy to bully? Meng Suiao was equally dissatisfied. You too, please be patient. Reactions to Wang Ao and Meng Suiao. Mo Hong didn't seem surprised, he just smiled and said, if the two sect masters are willing to vouch for their disciples, they can naturally let the two sect disciples leave. As for the others, they should cooperate and stay for investigation. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 532. Mo Hong said this. Wang Ao and Meng Suiao's expression softened slightly. After all, if you really want to talk about it, both of them can be regarded as people of some status. If Mo Feng really wants to put their disciple under house arrest, it will not look good on them. Now that Mo Hong took a step back, he gave them face. However, for Xiao Xianlong, Fei Longwu, and others, the situation is different. They don't have a large sect behind them as a guarantee, and they are afraid that they will all be put under house arrest in the end. This is so unfair. Why should we be put under house arrest? Is it possible that you just think that we have harmed the two His Highnesses? Longfei looked angry. Xiao Xian and Longwu also looked unhappy. Originally, he thought that after Mo Feng Mo Zhan died, Mo Hong's operation should at least be to hit each of them 50 times and put everyone under house arrest. But now it seems that is not the case. As a member of the Kanglong Empire's royal family, Mo Hong is also a bully and shy of the strong. The way he behaves at this moment is that he doesn't dare to provoke the Blue Thunder Palace and the Blood Evil sect. Instead, use him for surgery. Isn't this clearly discriminating against them? Father, isn't this a bit inappropriate? Since everyone is suspected, then everyone should be put under house arrest and Wang Lei and Meng Lingyun should be allowed to leave. Isn't it unfair? Mo Li stood up and said to Mo Hong. Mo Li. I have my own opinion on this matter, you don't need to say any more. Although Emily said this sincerely, before she could finish her words, she was interrupted by Emo Hong beside her. It was obvious that Emo Hong was very dissatisfied with her words. Then, Emo Hong also narrowed his eyes, looked at Xiao Xian and said, Master Xiao, what do you think? Faintly. Emo Hong felt that before the trip to the secret realm, Xiao Xian was still an ordinary person, but through this trip to the secret realm, he seemed to have gotten some amazing opportunities. At the same time, he thought of Emo Feng Emo Zhan's death. There was a stabbing pain in his heart. If he found out that Xiao Xian did this, he would definitely not give up and let Xiao Xian pay for everything with his life. It doesn't matter. Since His Majesty doubts us, we just need to cooperate. Xiao Xian's eyes narrowed, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. From the inside, he was naturally dissatisfied with Emo Hong's differential treatment, but unfortunately, his current strength had just entered the spiritual god realm, and he was completely unqualified to make demands in front of Wang A Meng Suiao or even Emo Hong. Be patient for a while. It is also for future rise. Simply, he didn't say much. Good. Emo Hong nodded slightly, he was not surprised by Xiao Xian's reaction. After all, with the power of the palace, it is extremely simple to figure out Xiao Xian, and the inquiry just now was just a routine matter. Even if Xiao Xian disagrees in the end, there is no way to escape from his grasp. You know the truth. Wei Qinglan raised the corners of her mouth slightly, the contempt in her eyes undisguised. He and Emo Feng had a very good relationship during his lifetime. Originally, he thought that Emo Feng would greatly increase his strength after being baptized in the secret realm, but who knew that Emo Feng would die unexpectedly, which would give Xiao Xian many opportunities. This made him jealous and resentful. In his opinion, the opportunities Xiao Xian got should have belonged to Emo Feng, or even him. After all, when Emo Hong chose to enter the secret realm, he also considered Wei Qinglan, but with Emo Feng Emo Zhan in the royal family, he had nothing to fight for. Guys, please come to me. Wei Qinglan stepped forward and said to Xiao Xian and others with a stern face. Seeing this scene, Meng Lingyun hesitated to speak. She had received many favors from Xiao Xian in the secret realm, and now she was determined to help Xiao Xian. Just want to find out what is going on in the secret realm. Emo Hong was even more surprised and looked at Zhao Wuji in disbelief. He didn't expect that he could be so calm after seeing the murderer who killed his disciple. But in the end, he remained silent under Meng Suiao's eyes. You guys have been working hard in the secret realm, so please return to the sect to rest first. I will host the funerals for the two princes in the near future, and I will also invite several sect leaders to attend the funeral. We can't tell for sure at the moment, but what is certain is that I felt Zhao Ho's spiritual treasure aura on Wang Lei's body. Zhao Ho's death must be related to Wang Lei. Zhao Wuji's eyes were red. After these words were spoken, Emily and Xiao Xian are fine, but Wang Lei seems to be a little confused inside and is obviously hiding something. Zhao Wuji said in a deep voice, if my prediction is good, he must know something. If it is not a last resort. Good. Zhao Wuji's eyes were red. Your Majesty still needs to make the decision for my Wanbao pavilion on this matter. Your Majesty's words will naturally be obeyed. Just now, I made some observations and found something unusual. Emo Hong clasped his hands lightly, a cold flash in his eyes. Emo Hong said seriously. Your Majesty, if you can agree to this matter, I am willing to activate the Dream Spirit Treasure to detect the truth about the death of the two princes in the secret realm. This is enough to show how firm his mind is. After saying this, Emo Hong felt a little hesitant. Although Wanbao Pavilion and Qinglei Palace Blood Evil Sect were called the three major sects of the Kanglong Empire. This time, if it weren't for the inexplicable tragic death of Zhao Wuji's disciple Zhao Ho, he would not have taken out this treasure. The purpose of taking out this thing today is actually very clear. Regarding Mo Hong's hesitation. Although the Kanglong royal family is not weak in the Kanglong Empire, a delicate balance has always been maintained between the four of them. But in terms of hard power, Wanbao Pavilion, which mainly relies on spiritual weapons and magic weapons, is naturally not as good as the latter two. It is also the treasure of Wanbao Pavilion. Zhao Wuji didn't seem surprised at all and directly stated his conditions. Report to your majesty. What did you see? Mo Hong was equally interested. Are you saying that Wang Lei might have assassinated Feng Er and Zhan Er in the secret realm? Mo Hong's face visibly moved. He knew that there was a spiritual weapon in Wanbao Pavilion that could see into the heart. After using it, he could check whether the other party's heart was magnanimous. Huh? So, Wang Lei killed Zhao Ho. On the other hand, Wang Lei's eyes flickered, and he seemed to have something to say. Wang Ao and Meng Suiao nodded at the same time, and then strode away. But at this moment, there was still a person in the meeting hall who was watching with cold eyes. He did not follow these people to leave, but took the initiative to walk to Mo Hong. The person who spoke was dressed in white robes with jewels on his body, and his energy was oscillating. He was none other than Zhao Wuji, the master of Wanbao Pavilion. After these people left, the palace elders also looked at each other and said goodbye. Wang Lei. Mo Hong was not willing to break this balance easily. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 533. Zhao Wuji's words are obviously very useful. At this time, what he said immediately aroused Mo Hong's interest. Mo Hong didn't believe that his two sons died inexplicably in the secret realm. He just suffered from the lack of evidence and couldn't attack several sects. Now if there is Wanbao Pavilion's help. Even if he did fall out with these two sects in the end, he would be more confident, but what he still couldn't figure out was how sure Zhao Wuji was. What sect leader Zhao said is indeed what I think. Mo Hong nodded slightly and continued, however, if there is no conclusive evidence, I can't help you punish King Glei Palace. And who do you think was responsible for the death of the two princes? Hear this. Zhao Wuji understood that if he wanted to persuade Mo Hong, an old fox, to take action, he had to come up with something real. We can't know yet. However, if you give me enough time, the dream magical artifact can completely restore to its original condition. Zhao Wuji said seriously, moreover, I need to dig out a person's soul and let the magic weapon enter this person's soul. After hearing this, even Mo Hong frowned. Digging out the soul is definitely a disaster for any cultivator. The soul is the most original thing in a cultivator's head. If it is forcibly stripped away, the cultivator will become a fool at the least, and die on the spot at the worst. Mo Hong didn't expect that the treasure of Wanbao Pavilion would be so vicious. No poison, no husband. Your Majesty, if you are not willing to use the sect disciples in the Kanglong Empire to get hurt, then use that Xiaoxian. Zhao Wuji's eyes also flashed a bit of sinisterness. I can guarantee that the Xiaoxian must be related to the death of the two His Highnesses. For this judgment. Mo Hong also nodded slightly to agree. Although he didn't have much contact with Xiaoxian, he could clearly feel that Xiaoxian had good talents, and he was also a very capable person who could get out of dangerous places like the secret realm. In the past, Mo Hong also had the intention of recruiting. But Xiaoxian didn't know what to do. In this case, Mo Hong was no longer willing to be polite to him. What's more, this secret realm was found by the royal family, and the spiritual treasures inside should have belonged to the royal family. If they were obtained by sects in the Kanglong Empire such as Wanglai Menglingyuan, etc. Maybe there are extenuating circumstances. But now, Xiaoxian got it, and he was naturally dissatisfied. In this case, I will give you an imperial edict, and you will go find Xiao Xian. As for the means, it depends on you, Mo Hong said. That would be a lot of trouble, Zhao Wuji nodded quickly. However, if you go to Xiao Xian as the leader of a sect, you may arouse his vigilance. It is better to find someone with weaker strength. Mo Hong pondered, after all, Xiao Xian is just a person who has just entered the spiritual realm. Zhao Wuji is very active. At this time, he immediately understood what Mo Hong meant. It was obvious that he had a candidate, so he simply got off the road and said, I wonder if your majesty has a suitable candidate. Let Wei Qinglan go. Feng'er and Zhan'er had a good relationship with him before he died. If we let him go, we will definitely find out the truth. Mo Hong pondered for a while and made a decision. After hearing this, Zhao Wuji felt happy in his heart. He had long seen that the relationship between Wei Qinglan and Xiao Xian was not harmonious, so wouldn't things be simpler if he asked him to go? I'm afraid that no matter what happens, Wei Qinglan can make Xiao Xian admit it all. Kanglong Empire. In a courtyard. Xiao Xian and Longfei Longwu were led into the courtyard gate, and then were arranged in a clean room respectively. He could see that the courtyard here looked ordinary, but in the walls and gates, there was a faint flicker of the power of the avenue. Obviously various restrictions have been set in advance. Guys, please stay here first. Later, Commander Wei will come to ask you about things in the secret realm. A soldier glanced at Xiao Xian with a smile but said, please prepare in advance. When he said these words, Xiao Xian's face suddenly became a little dissatisfied. This posture. Did they really interrogate him as a criminal? However, do they really think this small courtyard can contain him? Little brother, wait a minute, I wonder where Princess Emily is. Does she also live in this courtyard? Xiao Xian asked with a smile. He. You have a good idea. Princess Emily is so noble, how can she live with you? If you have this intention, you should think carefully about how to deal with Commander Wei next. The little soldier looked arrogant. How dare you talk to Brother Xiao like this? Longfei suddenly became furious. He was already full of anger in the palace, but now he vented his anger on the soldier. You, what are you going to do? Bingzu was only at the 8th level of Dao power. Facing Longfei, who was in the realm of spiritual gods, he was naturally a little flustered. Teach you a lesson. Longfei's arms were like dragon claws, and he directly pinched the soldier's throat, his face gloomy. Use a little force in your hands. The soldier's face suddenly lost all color. This brother. A big dog still has to watch its master. Do you know it's a crime to attack the imperial army on the ground of Kanglong royal family? Just when Longfei was about to use his strength, a green gust of wind suddenly appeared and hit him directly in the chest. This Cyan Gangfeng was powerful and heavy, as if a master at the peak of the spiritual realm had taken action. Xiao Xian looked back and saw that it was Wei Qinglan. Longfei did not dare to neglect, and quickly let go of his soldiers and activated his skills, and then resisted his attack. Even so, he still took several steps back. It was obvious that he had suffered a small loss just now. Just when Wei Qinglan was about to take another step, Xiao Xian stood up instead, with a somewhat cold expression on his face. Commander Wei, Your Majesty just asked us to cooperate with the investigation. It seems that we haven't reached the point of taking action yet, right? What? Are you not convinced? Wei Qinglan looked domineering. If Commander Wei really wants to take action, I would be willing to cooperate, but, if His Majesty finds out about this matter, Commander Wei may not be able to explain it, right? Xiao Xian's face was ashen. Directly find Mo Hong to use as a shield. His move was quite effective. Wei Qinglan obviously hesitated when he heard Mo Hong's name. After all, although he is the commander of the Forbidden Army, he is not qualified to deal with casual cultivators like Xiaoxian casually. If he does it himself and causes trouble, Mo Hong will be unhappy. What's more, Mo Hong has already asked him to extract Xiaoxian's soul. At that time, as long as Xiaoxian's soul is lost, he will naturally become a fool and useless person. At this time, if we take action against him, wouldn't it be unnecessary? Think of this. Wei Qinglan smiled slightly and said, Master Xiaoxian misunderstood, I have no intention of taking action, I was just ordered to investigate. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 534. Ordered to investigate. There was no smile on Xiaoxian's face. From these words, he couldn't hear any sincerity, but there was just a bit of contempt in the corner of his mouth. He is not a young practitioner like Wang Limeng Lingyun who has never seen the world and is easily deceived by others. At this time, he can see what this guy is thinking at a glance. What is the so-called investigation under orders? Isn't this just bullshit? Whose order is it from? What order was given? Then let's ask Commander Wei to investigate. But I'm a little curious. I don't know how Commander Wei plans to investigate. Is it possible to rely on empty words to investigate? Xiaoxian asked directly. Of course not. Hear these words. Wei Qinglan still had a smile on her face. At this time, he was naturally well prepared. No need for others to say anything, he said with a smile, this time, I have brought the treasure of Wanbao Pavilion, the mangling magical artifact. Say it. Longfei Longwu who was present suddenly changed his expression. As disciples of a small sect, they had naturally never heard of this legendary dream spirit magical artifact, but even so, the two of them could roughly guess it. Since this magical weapon can become a sect's treasure chest. Naturally it's amazing. If you use this magic weapon to explore the situation in the secret realm, wouldn't it be possible to recreate everything that happened in the secret realm at will? Since then, can the cause of Mo Feng Mo Zhan's death be hidden? Wanting to understand this, these two people were even more upset and worried. Compared to the two of them, Xiaoxian still looked calm, as if he didn't take this matter to heart at all, and didn't even say a few words. A calm look on his face. There's a reason why he doesn't care. Perhaps, for others, being so threatened by the commander of the imperial guards of an empire is a very dangerous thing, but for Xiaoxian, it is nothing at all. After all, he has seen a lot of people in the world. Just relying on the passage of time, he can easily escape from death. However, he became somewhat interested in the treasure of Wanbao Pavilion. He can tell. In the Kanglong Empire, the reason why the Wanbao Pavilion can stand on par with large sects such as the Kanglong royal family, King Glaigong, and Susha sect is because of the various magic weapons that emerge in the pavilion. And since this mangling magic weapon can become the magic weapon of Wanbao Pavilion, it must have something special about it. Is it possible to recreate what happened in the secret realm at that time? Xiaoxian had doubts in his heart. But he didn't show it, but he still looked indifferent, as if he had everything in mind. Wei Qinglan, who was standing next to him, looked at Xiaoxian's appearance, and his heart suddenly felt full of sarcasm. From the bottom of her heart, Wei Qinglan did not want to believe that Xiaoxian, who had just entered the realm of spiritual gods, could really make such a big splash in the secret realm. But this time it was Mo Hong who asked him to find Xiaoxian by name. Only then did he deign to come. Otherwise, with Xiaoxian's identity and status, how could he, a dignified commander of the Forbidden Army, be allowed to come in person? You even have to personally use a cultivation weapon like the Dream Spirit weapon on the latter? Isn't this making a fuss out of a molehill? As for Xiaoxian, now let's let you be arrogant and domineering for a while. When the mangling magical artifact shows its majesty, he will naturally find a way to make Xiaoxian suffer. In that case, who among you is willing to try this magical weapon first? Wei Qinglan smiled, faced Xiaoxian, and said, I heard that among your group of practitioners, young Master Xiaoxian has the most advanced skills. How about it? Otherwise, let young Master Xiaoxian try this first this time. Magic weapon. He had ulterior motives to begin with. This is even more confusing. Even though Xiaoxian is the strongest among these practitioners, should he be the first to receive the baptism of the magic weapon? You know, Wei Qinglan kept saying before that he came with the mangling magical artifact to find the truth in the secret realm. Not to mention the dragon-flying dragon dance. You. Obviously not. The two of them are not even qualified to use dream spirit magical artifacts. It would be easy for the Kanglong Empire to take control of them. Haha, if you want to be respected by others, you must have strength. Isn't it possible that the commander of the Imperial Army of Kanglong Empire is so leisurely? Is there nothing serious to do every day? Moreover, from the way he behaved, it was easy to tell that from the bottom of his heart, Wei Qinglan looked down on him. You two haven't even entered the spiritual god realm. Your souls are too weak. I'm afraid they won't be able to withstand the test of souls in the dream spirit magical artifact. You two should retreat. Why did Wei Qinglan take the initiative to come to him? Just a few cultivators at the peak of their power. The imperial guards of the Kanglong Empire are arrogant, and now it seems that they are indeed so. Long Fei said through gritted teeth. Brother Xiao, I'll go first this time and give you a sample. Just when Xiaoxian was about to respond, Long Fei stood up and said seriously. Commander Wei, please don't look down on us too much. We are considered the elite of the sect after all. The principle of sailing with caution will never go out of style. This is also the reason why he has been able to steadily become the holy saint on both continents over the years. So that being the case, the contempt between his eyebrows was palpable. It's impossible to catch his eye at all. Only then did Wei Qinglan look back. Longfei Longwu said politely. I wonder if Mr. Xiaoxian has the courage, Wei Qinglan continued to ask. Why is the soul's ability weak? Why should he rely on his own strength, and in the end, even his reputation is mentioned? Isn't the final purpose of it all to use the dream spirit magical artifact on him? Just relying on a temporary reputation, I'm afraid it won't last long. How could Xiaoxian not know? When they saw that both Longfei and Longwu were still at the peak of their power, a hint of contempt suddenly appeared on their faces. Wei Qinglan glanced at Xiaoxian and said casually, what do you think, Master Xiaoxian, of this? You. I think it's better to forget it. Wei Qinglan said with waning interest. In fact, in Wei Qinglan's view, even Xiaoxian, a first-level practitioner of the spiritual god realm who had just entered the spiritual god realm, was not qualified to show off in front of him. Now, it's like testing everyone's strength. As for now, there must be monsters when things happen. The elite disciples of the low-end sect are indeed nothing special. Wei Qinglan didn't even look at Longfei Longwu. Weren't Wei Qinglan's words, both inside and outside, just to target him? Logically speaking, someone like Wei Qinglan, who is at the level of the commander of the Forbidden Army, should not deal with a casual cultivator like him. Xiaoxian was quite wary of this. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 535. Divine Soul. This is the information Xiaoxian got from Wei Qinglan's words. This guy just emphasized the power of the divine soul. It seems that the mangling magic weapon in Wei Qinglan's hand is specifically aimed at the divine soul. This actually attracted Xiaoxian's attention. You know, before entering the Dao continent, Xiaoxian was also a great spiritual soul cultivation master, and the power of the divine soul surpassed the entire continent. But since arriving at Dao continent, I have found that things are a little different. Under the special suppression on Daedao continent, not only had his spiritual power been greatly suppressed, his soul power had also been reduced several times, and it was simply not the same as before. And these days, since arriving on the Dao continent, he has been busy practicing and exploring various things, and has no time to pay attention to the power of his soul. I didn't expect to use the power of the soul at this time. System. This is a critical moment, I still need your help, brother. Xiaoxian actively communicates with the system. The system has become accustomed to this pragmatic approach, but it is also happy with it. Because it also knows that Xiaoxian is not the kind of person who just kills the donkey. To a certain extent, the relationship between the two of them can be regarded as each getting what he needs. The system helps Xiaoxian, and Xiaoxian will be rewarded in the future. Soul Pill. It can temporarily increase the power of your soul to the initial state of Taixu. The system is simple and clear. But after hearing this, Xiaoxian frowned slightly and said with a bit of dissatisfaction, "This is the first stage of Taixu. Isn't it a bit stingy? Why don't you get to the middle stage?" Pooh. System prompt, although you are the host, you should not be too greedy about some things. In the initial stage of Taixu, you can already control the realm of spiritual gods. The system sounds a bit dissatisfied. Xiaoxian frowned slightly. Although he had been in Daedao continent for a long time, he really didn't know much about the realm of souls on this continent. Now, after hearing the meaning of the system, it seems that the initial state of Taixu seems to be an amazing state. If that's the case, did he get a big bargain? So, what about the realm of Wei Qinglan's soul? Xiaoxian asked tentatively. He hasn't even cultivated a divine soul. Do you think anyone can cultivate a divine soul? The system was full of disdain, although he is the commander of the forbidden army in this small Kanglong empire and seems to have some status. In terms of strength, he is just an ordinary physical disciple. Say it. Xiaoxian felt a lot more confident. The power of the soul is formed in the mind. This is a kind of power that can be used to explore, condense, and even fight. The master of the soul can even kill the opponent's body and soul in a single thought. Similarly, the power of the soul has two more important functions, which are elixir refining and pattern refining. In any continent where there are practitioners, pills and inscriptions are two very important auxiliary cultivation methods. Therefore, people who have achieved great power of the soul are very welcome in any sect force and can be regarded as guests. Got the soul pill given by the system. Xiaoxian didn't hesitate, opened his mouth and swallowed the pill. The next second, a gentle divine soul power burned in the elixir, warming the divine palace in his mind. Under the fusion of the power of the elixir, in the originally empty divine mansion, a faint milky white soul power began to ignite, and the divine soul began to gradually condense. At the same time, Xiaoxian clearly felt that under the warmth of this divine soul power, its perception of the surrounding environment had improved to a higher level. Every plant, every tree, every flower, every stone. It's all within his perception. Xiaoxian tentatively controlled the soul and probed Wei Qinglan in front of him. Through the power of the soul, he could clearly see every muscle vein on the latter's body, and even the blood flowing in his veins. This surprised him. When he was in Tianqian continent and Honghuan continent, he had also painstakingly cultivated the power of the soul. However, even though he had reached the peak of the power of the soul at that time, he could not see the situation in the enemy's body. Now, it's just the power of the soul in the initial stage of Taixu, but it has such an effect. Could this be the magic of Daedao continent? For Xiaoxian's state of fugue and emptiness. Wei Qinglan looked disdainful. In his opinion, Xiaoxian was obviously pretending to be stupid on purpose, and he probably had a guilty conscience, so he did this. However, if you think you can escape the detection of dream spirit magical artifact this way, That would be too naive. Ahem. Master Xiaoxian, how are you? Should we start exploring now, or should we let you rest for a while? Wei Qinglan smiled slightly and said, although His Majesty already said when you came here that you must come up with something substantive this time, in my opinion, some things still have to be done step by step, right? As he spoke, the sarcasm on his lips was barely concealed. Xiaoxian was not surprised by this. Although he didn't know why, he felt that Wei Qinglan seemed to have a lot of dissatisfaction with him, and seeing him was like seeing an enemy. This really puzzled him. Even though Mo Feng and Mo Zhan died inexplicably in the secret realm, this does not mean that they should cause trouble for Xiaoxian. On the contrary, to a certain extent, they should be more suspicious of Mo Li from the Qinghua Empire. After all, there is still a conflict between the Kanglong Empire and the Qinghua Empire. More importantly, this Wei Qinglan is not from the Kanglong royal family. Even if he was trusted by Mo Hong and insisted on investigating the death of Mo Feng and Mo Zhan, there seemed to be no need to trouble Xiaoxian. Unless, what good can he gain by doing so? Think of this. Xiaoxian narrowed his eyes, took a careful look at Wei Qinglan, and said with a smile, speaking of which, Commander Wei is also a well-known figure in the Kanglong Empire. Today he is specifically looking for trouble for a small casual cultivator like me. I'm afraid he has another purpose behind it. It would be better if he didn't say this. After saying it, Wei Qinglan's attention was instantly attracted. Wei Qinglan looked at Xiaoxian with a pair of narrow eyes, revealing deep hostility in his eyes, but he still sneered, I'm afraid young Master Xiaoxian has misunderstood this point. If you really want to say it, as a Forbidden Army commander, it is normal for you, a casual cultivator, to be investigated. Besides, based on my status as commander, not to mention just investigating you, even arresting you on the spot is justified. If Mr. Xiaoxian is unhappy, you can speak out. As for whether anyone will listen, that's unclear. Master Xiaoxian, it's better to think about it and do it, so as not to get trapped in a cocoon. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 536. After hearing this, if Xiaoxian was just suspicious before, now he is almost certain that Wei Qinglan is here to cause trouble for him, but his final purpose is unknown. But he also understood that at this time he had no evidence, so even if he had doubts, he could only keep them in his heart. Simply, Xiaoxian said no more and said directly, Commander Wei misunderstood, I just said it casually, don't pay attention. Humph, in this case, it's better not to talk nonsense in the future, so as not to cause unnecessary misunderstandings. Faced with such a situation, although Wei Qinglan was still angry, she still said directly, so now, I would like to ask, what does young Master Xiaoxian think? Do you really want to accept the detection of Dream Spirit magical artifact this time? Since Commander Wei said it, I should obey my orders. Xiaoxian smiled slightly and said casually. He looked calm and relaxed, but Wei Qinglan next to him was secretly sarcastic. In his opinion, Xiaoxian was looking for death. A mere casual cultivator in the early stage of the spiritual god realm. When the dream magic weapon is used on him, he will know the pain involved. Despite his indifference now, I'm afraid it won't be long before I'm going to be pathetically kneeling on the ground begging for his life. And Xiaoxian did this. In fact, he also has his own confidence. Just now, he had briefly explored Wei Qinglan's soul and found that the latter's soul had almost no power. The reason why he could become a master at the 8th level of the spiritual god realm was entirely based on his Tao power and body. This is naturally a good thing for Xiaoxian. After all, Although Meng Ling's magic weapon is magical, it still needs enough power of the soul to activate it. With Wei Qinglan's little power of the soul, it is completely nonsense to try to control him. Now that young master Xiao Xian is ready, then let's get started. Wei Qinglan was also straightforward. After saying one sentence, a cyan lotus seal appeared in the space magic weapon. After the seal rotated in the air, it moved towards Xiao Xian. As soon as this lotus seal appears, there was a strong spiritual oppression that made everyone present nervous. The weaker Long Fei and Long Wu just glanced at each other and felt a stinging pain in their minds. They quickly did not dare to look again, but carefully concentrated on resisting. Under the control of Wei Qinglan, the lotus seal slowly approached Xiao Xian, and finally stopped on Xiao Xian's head. Seeing this, Long Fei and Long Wu frowned, sweating for Xiao Xian, and felt very nervous. From the conversation just now, they could naturally tell that Wei Qinglan brought the Mengling magical artifact this time, probably because of Mo Hong's benefit. Moreover, the first person to find Xiao Xian must have bad intentions. There is no doubt that Xiao Xian is not as strong as Wei Qinglan. If the two of them conflict, Xiao Xian will most likely suffer in the end. May I ask Commander Wei, how should this dream spirit artifact be used? Xiao Xian looked like he was asking for advice seriously. It's simple. You only need Master Xiao Xian to put this thing on your head, and the magic weapon will automatically operate. When the time comes, everything the young master encountered in the secret realm will happen again. Wei Qinglan took out a recording stone and said, when the time comes, this recording stone will be presented to His Majesty, and His Majesty will make the final decision. The last sentence was almost a threat. Hear this. Xiao Xian's face also became a little more solemn. They have never seen Xiao Xian display the power of the soul before. Faced with such a powerful suppression, I am afraid that if the situation is similar to them, they will probably be firmly suppressed, or even suppressed by such a powerful power of the soul. The soul is shattered. In response to these words, Long Fei Long Wu had an angry look on his face and was about to rush forward, but after being waved slightly by Wei Qinglan, he was immediately suppressed and unable to move. But they still felt a powerful suppressive force from the soul, which even made it difficult for them to move even an inch, as if their entire bodies were covered by a huge transparent fishing net, with no chance of breaking free. The power of the soul is not that powerful. With a wave of his hand, the Mengling magical artifact slowly pressed against Xiao Xian's forehead. Regarding such an obvious provocation, Xiao Xian remained relatively calm, smiled, and said, "Then please." At the same time, although the dream spirit weapon was not targeting Long Fei Long Wu, Wei Qinglan soon noticed what Xiao Xian was doing, but she just smiled and didn't care at all. The powerful power of the soul was displayed, making the surrounding environment stagnant, and Xiao Xian suddenly felt a powerful suppressive force coming over him. I advise young Master Xiao Xian not to use your soul to resist. Otherwise, the powerful dream spirit artifact may destroy your weak soul in an instant. But now after seeing the power displayed by the dream spirit magical artifact, they are all desperate. Wei Qinglan is very confident about this. Wei Qinglan snorted coldly. The dream spirit magical artifact of Wanbao Pavilion has an extremely powerful effect, which can strengthen the user's soul 10 times. With this effect, he believes that Xiao Xian can be suppressed at will. A mere cultivator in the early stage of the spiritual god realm dares to be so bold in front of me. I think you are getting impatient. Before, they had a bit of luck, thinking that Xiao Xian and Wei Qinglan were both practitioners in the spiritual god realm, and maybe Xiao Xian could escape. At this time, he just sneered slightly, closed his eyes and slowly started to move his soul. For a moment, the power of the soul in the initial stage of Taixu was fully displayed. Needless to say, he could tell from Wei Qinglan's words what he thought about this matter. He just found a random reason to send the recording stone to Mo Hong, and then things would fall into place. Master Xiaoxian, Longfei looked helpless and could only pray that Wei Qinglan would not really have murderous intentions. He actually began to compete with Wei Qinglan for the command of the Mengling magic weapon. When the time comes, I'm afraid your life will be gone. Ridiculous. Zhao Wuji, the master of Wanbao Pavilion, personally inserted a ray of soul into it to help Wei Qinglan control the magic weapon, so he was confident that he could control Xiaoxian at will. As for how Mo Hong would deal with Xiaoxian, even if you think about it with your knees, you can tell that it's nothing good. But in his opinion, it is very simple to control Xiaoxian, and he can make the other party surrender casually. Although he is not an alchemist or pattern refiner who cultivates the soul. When I got this dream spirit magical artifact, this power also slowly invaded the dream spirit magical artifact. If a cultivator's soul is shattered, his body will become a useless skin. Longfei Longwu and Longfei Longwu had serious expressions on their faces. Wei Qinglan smiled sadly. Xiaoxian didn't say much. Become a fool. Haha, is it the power of the soul? Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 537. A wisp of pale white divine soul power circulates. Slowly emerged from the divine palace, and finally tentatively invaded the Mengling magic weapon. Just as he touched the edge of the dream spirit magical artifact, he came into contact with a dark black divine soul power. When the two met, they instantly had a powerful repulsive reaction. Xiaoxian frowned slightly. He vaguely felt Zhao Wuji's aura from this black soul power. Obviously, this soul power should have been left by Zhao Wuji. This actually made Xiaoxian a little more curious. He could see that Wei Qinglan was a reckless man who only cultivated Taoist power, but Zhao Wuji was different. As the master of Wanbao Pavilion, I guess he has a lot of advantages, and since the dream spirit magical artifact contains the power of Zhao Wuji's soul, it means that Zhao Wuji is probably also a practitioner of the power of soul. Thinking of this, Xiaoxian really became a little more competitive. I want to try his soul power and Zhao Wuji's soul power to see who is better. The power of the pale white soul and the power of the dark black soul collided together, instantly colliding in the dream spirit magical artifact. Boom! Although the sound of the two colliding was small, the power was not small at all. After the collision, the intersection of the two also made bursts of clashing sounds, as if two armies were fighting, which made people feel frightened. What an amazing power of the soul! It seems that this Zhao Wuji is worthy of being the master of Wanbao Pavilion. He has such a powerful power with just a trace of the power of his soul. Xiaoxian couldn't help but talk to himself. He noticed that although Zhao Wuji's divine soul power looked small, the power displayed in it was not small at all. In just a short while, Xiaoxian's divine soul power was burned out. At the same time, Xiaoxian also felt a slight sense of fatigue coming from the divine mansion. If this happened to other people, they might be afraid. But the person he was facing now was Xiaoxian, a cultivator who didn't know what fear was. Facing the Mengling magic weapon, he once again mobilized the power of the soul in the divine palace and attacked the black soul power. Although the power of the dark black soul is powerful, but Xiaoxian could feel that as the power of his soul continued to besiege him, the dark power of the soul was gradually weakened, and the color became not as dark as before. It was obvious that Xiaoxian's soul attack had an effect. Seeing this, Xiaoxian was delighted. All beginnings are hard. Since these divine soul powers can be attacked, Xiaoxian has enough confidence to completely refine the dark black divine soul powers left by Zhao Wuji. Under the operation of divine soul power, another wave of pale white soul power attacked the dream spirit magical artifact. Although the fight with the power of the soul is not as fierce as the collision of Tao power, the risk factor is higher. If you are not careful, if you let the power of the other party's soul invade your own palace, your life will be cut off in an instant. So at this moment, Xiao Xian did not dare to be careless at all, and concentrated on using the power of the soul in his mind to besiege the dream spirit magical artifact. On the other side, Wei Qinglan looked confused. He is not a practitioner of the power of the soul. When he got the mangling magical artifact, Zhao Wuji taught him how to operate it step by step. He even found a forbidden army soldier to test it out, and it went very smoothly. Don't act rashly. After hearing from the system that this energy light group was very helpful to his soul, he had already decided to refine it. As long as he is willing, he can use the energy of Mengling's magic weapon to control and even attack Wei Qinglan. Brother system, what is this? Xiao Xian immediately communicated with the system. But now I found something was wrong. That's none of my business. The power of the divine soul can only be cultivated by cultivators who have broken through the spiritual god realm and entered the Kangshen realm. Why does he feel that Xiao Xian still has this power in him now? Of course, please ask the host to refine it quickly, but, if the dream magic weapon does not have this ball of soul energy, it may collapse on the spot, the system reminded. But now when it is used on Xiao Xian smiled slightly. But Xiao Xian also understood. If Wei Qinglan reacts, I'm afraid things will be in trouble. It seemed that there was a vague force blocking his exploration. The system immediately said, however, fortunately, Wei Qinglan is just a reckless man who has never practiced the power of the soul. Presumably, even if the host absorbs this energy light group, he will not be able to find it in the end. After all, Wei Qinglan is the commander of the imperial army of the Kanglong Empire. With this status, even if Xiao Xian wants to touch him, he must be prepared in advance. Thinking of this, he changed his mind and continued to use the power of his soul to explore this dream magic weapon. After hearing this, Xiao Xian also nodded one after another. A strong spiritual aura emanated from the mist and light group. What surprised him was that inside the dream spirit magical artifact, he felt a white mist. Now, he is the real master of dream spirit magical artifact. After counting the breaths. But soon, Wei Qinglan shook her head and got rid of this thought in her mind. He felt that when Zhao Wuji's soul power was activated, he felt a sense of stagnation in the dream spirit artifact. After all, he wasn't the one who asked Wei Qinglan to come to him with this dream spirit magical artifact. Even if something goes wrong after that, it has nothing to do with him. Is that true? Xiao Xian was very surprised. But he found that something was wrong. Logically speaking, when he activated the power of the soul, he should be able to easily obtain Xiao Xian's memory. He had planned to absorb it completely. With this level of comfort, he was even more confident and once again used the power of his soul to attack the dream spirit magical artifact. Then please host absorb it quickly. This made him feel very puzzled. How could Xiao Xian, who was in the early stage of the spiritual god realm, have the power of a divine soul? As for the future, whether the dream magic weapon can still be used has nothing to do with him. Xiao Xian was sweating profusely, but a smile broke out at the corner of his mouth. I didn't expect that there would be such pure soul energy inside this magic weapon. The system seemed to be shocked by the scene inside the Mengling magic weapon. It paused for a second before saying, "This is very important to the current host. For you, it is a great tonic for the soul. If it can be fully absorbed, the effect will be no less than that of the soul pill." Just now, under his unremitting efforts and continuous soul attacks, the dark power of the soul that remained in the dream spirit magical artifact was finally completely refined. Isn't this the most ridiculous thing in the world? Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 538. Because the power of the soul left by Zhao Wuji has disappeared. Next, Xiao Xian encountered no obstacles when refining the dream spirit magical artifact. The pure soul energy was originally an ownerless thing. After encountering Xiao Xian's attraction, he basically didn't put up any resistance, and was refined by Xiao Xian step by step. In the time of a stick of incense, the pure energy was completely quantified. At the same time, Xiao Xian also felt that the power of the soul in his divine palace was greatly enhanced. There seemed to be signs of a breakthrough. This made Xiao Xian very happy. Now he really has the power of the soul in the initial stage of Taixu, but he has been able to refine treasures such as the Dream Spirit artifact. He only relies on his own soul. If he could use this ball of divine soul energy to elevate his divine soul realm to the middle realm of Taixu, that would be an incredible leap. By then, I'm afraid I won't have to be suppressed like this by Wei Qinglan in front of me. But it took a long time to work hard. Xiao Xian regretfully discovered that although the divine soul energy was quite pure, there was still some gap between the power of his divine soul and the ability to break through to the middle realm of the divine soul. There is a vague barrier blocking it. This made him somewhat annoyed. However, this feeling was fleeting. He understood that practicing Taoism was extremely difficult. On this continent, even practicing Taoism was so difficult. If you want to cultivate the power of the soul, there may be more difficulties. Think of this. Xiao Xian also gave up the idea of forcing a breakthrough and opened his eyes again, wanting to see what Wei Qinglan had to say. At this moment, Wei Qinglan was also full of surprise. Although he has almost no soul power, as a late-stage master of the spiritual god realm, he still has some sensory abilities. When I just got the Dream Spirit magical artifact, he could clearly feel that the Dream Spirit magical artifact was overflowing with light, and the exquisite soul energy existed in it. He could feel nourished just by holding it in his hand. But now, when he got the magic weapon in his hand, he felt an inexplicable sense of emptiness. It was as if the essence of the Dream Spirit magical artifact had been drained out. More importantly, after wearing the mangling magic weapon on Xiao Xian's head for such a long time, the final effect was not satisfactory. Not only did he not get any trace of Xiao Xian in the secret realm, but he also felt that Xiao Xian's strength had increased. A lot. Just one glance made him feel instinctively afraid. This really made him a little uneasy. As the commander of the Forbidden Army, Wei Qinglan has naturally met many masters of cultivation, but in the realm of spiritual gods, it is rare that he can feel this way. Is it possible that Xiao Xian's strength improved again just now? For Wei Qinglan, who was confused at this moment. Xiao Xian deliberately looked confused and asked, pretending to be confused, "Commander Wei, are you satisfied with the detection just now? Can we rest?" Wei Qinglan was a little embarrassed for a moment. He originally wanted to ask Xiao Xian if he had used any destructive moves just now, but after thinking about it, with his status as the commander of the Imperial Army, asking such a question would somewhat damage his face. He simply took the Dream Spirit magical artifact and left. "Commander Wei, walk slowly." Xiao Xian smiled slightly. He naturally understood that Wei Qinglan not only got nothing when he came this time, but also lost a treasure in the end. This is an opportunity for Xiao Xian. Seeing Xiao Xian's appearance, Longfei Longwu also hurriedly stepped forward. The two of them looked at Xiao Xian, and their faces were a little more wary. They felt that although the Tao power in Xiao Xian's body could not be said to have changed at all, there was a feeling that made their hearts palpitate inexplicably, and there was a vague oppressive force. At this time, I saw the dragon flying and dancing. Xiao Xian also smiled casually, pulled away the power of the soul from his body, and then said with a smile, "It's getting late, you two should take a rest quickly. Since His Majesty does not allow us to leave, it seems that this is the only way we can do it." Longfei and Longwu looked at each other, with a bit of helplessness in their eyes. Seeing this, Xiao Xian also noticed the change in their moods and asked proactively, "You guys seem to have something to say." "This, I won't bother young Master Xiao." Longfei hesitated for a moment, then reluctantly declined. Is there something going on? Xiao Xian frowned slightly. If you have something to do, please just say it. He is a person who values friendship. Since their first meeting outside the secret realm, he could feel that the two senior brothers and sisters from Long Omen were loyal and kind-hearted people. They looked troubled at this moment, and they must have encountered something difficult to solve. Moreover, in the secret realm, Long Fei and Long Wu helped him a lot. If there's trouble, he's there to help. Master Xiao Xian, there is nothing wrong between the two of us. It's just, Gongsun's small matters can't seem to be delayed in the end. Long Wu couldn't help but open his mouth. Junior sister, this is a matter between us, brother and sister. How can we bother Mr. Xiao Xian? Seeing Long Wu open his mouth, Long Fei quickly interrupted. Besides, young Master Xiao Xian has already helped us a lot in the secret realm. How can we have the nerve to cause trouble for young Master Xiao again? Gongsun Xiao Xiao, what's wrong? Xiao Xian also frowned slightly. He knew that all the opportunities and treasures obtained in the secret realm were ultimately left behind by Gongsun Heya. Although he and Gongsun Heya did not have the status of master and disciple, the latter still had the kindness to teach him. Gongsun Xiao Xiao is the orphan of Gongsun Heya. He also has the responsibility to protect Master Xiao. We are friends. I also like that girl Gongsun Xiao Xiao very much. There is no need to hide anything. Long Fei wanted to say something more, but was directly interrupted by Xiao Xian. Is such that we met Gongsun Xiao Xiao during a escort trip. She was wrapped in swaddling clothes and surrounded by many wild beasts. Fortunately, we found her in time and protected her. But when we brought Xiao Xiao back to the city, we found a dark blue sword mark on her body. This sword mark was absorbing the vitality from her body all the time. We found many Dao Wen masters. There is nothing you can do. In the end, I found that I could only use the Tao power in the Tao stone to barely suppress the sword marks and maintain the vitality of her body. Long Wu said heartbrokenly, I don't know what kind of tragedy this child went through to have sword marks on his body. At that time, we were in the rough stone market to find Taoist stones for Gongsun Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xian was stunned. Sword marks can absorb the vitality of people. This is the first time he has heard of such a thing. But he also knew that neither Long Fei nor Long Wu were gullible. Since they said so today, I think it is also true. So, Gongsun Xiao Xiao may be in danger now, Xiao Xian said. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 539. In the Kanglong Imperial Court. When Mo Hong and Zhao Wuji saw the dream spirit artifact brought back by Wei Qinglan, both of them turned pale and looked at the latter with doubts in their eyes. This, Your Majesty, Pavilion Master Zhao, I really don't know anything about this dream spirit magical artifact. Wei Qinglan also felt a strong chill and explained quickly. Is Commander Wei trying to fool this Pavilion Master? I personally gave the dream spirit artifact to you at the beginning, but now I have brought a damaged one back. Do you really think that all of us at Wanbao Pavilion are fools? Zhao Wuji's face was full of anger. At that time, he had no choice but to take out the dream magic weapon. On the one hand, he was forced by Mo Hong's intimidation, and on the other hand, he also wanted to help Zhao Ho restore justice. Who would have thought that now he would lose both his wife and his troops? The memory fragments in Xiao Xian's mind were not found, but the treasure of Wanbao Pavilion was destroyed. How can this keep him from getting angry? Regarding this point, Mo Hong also looked a little gloomy, obviously very dissatisfied with this. As for the loss of Wanbao Pavilion, he actually didn't care as the Emperor of Kanglong Empire. It was just a loss to a sect and had no impact on the royal family. but what he didn't expect was that even if Wei Qinglan took action, he couldn't find Xiao Xian's memory in the secret realm. This was something he couldn't accept. It is even more difficult to understand. Pavilion Master Zhao, please calm down for the time being. I think this matter is not that simple. Perhaps the dream spirit artifact was not damaged by Commander Wei. Mo Hong shook his head. So, Your Majesty wants to defend Commander Wei. Zhao Wuji felt dissatisfied in his heart. How can Commander Wei be said to be a high-level master of the spiritual god realm? He used the mangling magic weapon to deal with Xiao Xian, who was at the elementary level of the spiritual god realm, and still failed. Is there really nothing in this? Is it a problem? What he said was reasonable. For a moment, Mo Hong was a little hard to explain. From a certain perspective, there is nothing wrong with what Zhao Wuji said. It seems that is the case. Even before Wei Qinglan met Xiao Xian, Mo Hong and Zhao Wuji thought this way, thinking that Wei Qinglan should be able to deal with Xiao Xian easily. Who knew that in the end it would turn out to be a mess? Commander Wei, let's tell you everything that happened at that time. Why did this exploration fail inexplicably? Under the pressure of Zhao Wuji, Mo Hong couldn't give Wei Qinglan too much good looks. Yes. Wei Qinglan also felt guilty for a while, and immediately told everything that happened after meeting Xiao Xian. Although Wei Qinglan didn't mean to hide it. But after Mo Hong and Zhao Wuji heard these words, the captains were surprised in their hearts, and they looked at Wei Qinglan with strange expressions. There was doubt in his eyes. Xiao Xian? How could a cultivator at the elementary level of the spiritual god realm escape from the detection of dream magic weapons and high-level masters of the spiritual god realm? Isn't this a fantasy? Haha, Commander Wei, is this not a joke? How can you say that Commander Wei is also a high-level cultivator of the spiritual god realm and the commander of the forbidden army of the Kanglong Empire? With the dream spirit magical artifact, he was unable to do anything to Xiao Xian and even allowed the dream spirit magic artifact to be damaged. If you tell me something like this, who would believe it? Zhao Wuji said, the anger in his eyes barely concealed. However, just when the power of his soul was about to burst out, a gentle soul stopped in front of him. It was Mo Hong who took action. Pavilion Master Zhao, please calm down for the time being. The way Commander Wei practices is a physical training method. It may not be able to activate the true power of the mangling magical artifact. Mo Hong murmured, there is a lot of mystery about this Xiao Xian. Perhaps, the damage of this dream spirit artifact is inseparable from him. Listening to what Long Fei meant, he actually planned to use himself to deal with Mo Hong's anger in exchange for the survival of Xiao Xian and Long Wu. However, Xiao Xian was moved and soon discovered the loopholes and shortcomings in Long Fei's plan. When he said these words, he immediately pointed his finger at Xiao Xian. They have the most powerful power in the Kanglong Empire, and their treatment of Xiao Xian and Long Fei Long Wu is naturally just a word from them. There is no need for Mo Hong to deceive him now. Zhao Wuji's face was uncertain, but he still put away the power of his soul. He also understood that at least at this moment, Mo Hong and he were on the same front. But Long Fei was still willing to use his own life to save her. At least, Xiao Xian is definitely not the kind of person who likes to be controlled by others. Say it. Zhao Wuji's face was gloomy, and he said to himself, Xiao Xian, if you let me know that it was really you who destroyed the dream spirit artifact, I will definitely make your life worse than death. Even death is not impossible. At that time, he thought it was not a serious illness. He also recalled that when he first met Gongsun Xiao Xiao, he found that the latter was indeed very sick. Although this honest man is not very powerful, he is kind-hearted and loyal. To be honest, Gongsun Xiao Xiao and him are not related. Thinking of this, Xiao Xian couldn't help gritting his teeth and clenching his fists. Xiao Xian also understood what Long Fei meant. The courtyard is full of secret laws and restrictions. if these sect leaders want to take action against him. This is definitely not what he wants to see. In addition, Xiao Xian also understands the principle of running away if you take advantage. No, your method won't work. When the time comes, if Mo Hong still refuses to let them leave after Long Fei admits his mistake, it seems that they have no other choice. Long Fei gritted his teeth slightly. In this way, you and junior sister can escape from here and save Xiao Xiao. Thinking of this, Xiao Xian couldn't help but take another look at Long Fei. Once upon a time, he was still the pinnacle king in a continent. Who knew that after coming to the Dao continent, he would be manipulated like this by a cultivator of a sect? Now it seems that Gongsun Xiaoxiu's condition is really a little different, and now if Longfei Longwu didn't provide the power of the original stone, I'm afraid her condition would be even more serious. Mo Hong and Zhao Wuji are the top leaders of the Kanglong Empire. So how was the Dream Spirit magical artifact destroyed? Is it really Xiao Xian? Brother Xiao Xian, how about, I go take the initiative to find your majesty and take over all the matters in the secret realm? Maybe if you do this, your majesty can let you go. He has no ability to resist yet. More importantly, in addition to Zhao Wuji, he could also feel the dangerous aura from Wang Ameng Suiao and Mo Hong. During this trip to the secret realm, both the royal family and Wanbao Pavilion suffered heavy losses. Although he used the help of the system to break Zhao Wuji's restriction on the Dream Spirit artifact and obtain the Divine Soul energy in it, this was just a trick. If he and Zhao Wuji were to fight face to face, he would still be at a disadvantage. After Xiao Xian found out Gongsun Xiaoxiu's condition, his expression was equally solemn. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 540. Why? Long Fei looked confused. Just imagine, we are now dependent on others. It can be said that even our own lives are in the hands of others. What qualifications do we have to negotiate terms with others? Xiao Xian shook his head and said, what if Mo Hong is unwilling to let us go after you admit your mistake? This will give Mo Hong an excuse to take action against us. As soon as he said this, Longfei Longwu was also silent at the same time. They knew very well that what Xiao Xian said was also an indisputable fact. But after all, their strength is now incomparable with Mo Hong, Zhao Wuji, and others, so Longfei made this move. Now this road is also blocked. They also showed expressions of despair, and their aura dropped. But don't worry, we are not at the end of our rope yet, Xiao Xian said seriously. As long as we break the restrictions in this courtyard, we can leave here, and even leave the Kanglong Empire. No matter how powerful Hong is, he can't do anything to us. But, this restriction is very powerful. I'm afraid it won't be that easy to lift it, right? After hearing Xiao Xian's words, Longfei and Longwu looked at each other with a bit of confusion on their faces. They are not as strong as Xiao Xian, but they have been traveling as escorts for many years, so they are considered well informed. Longfei could tell. The restrictions in this courtyard seem to have been placed by a Dao pattern master. They can not only reduce the Dao power of the people in the restrictions, but also serve as warnings and restrictions. As long as they leave the courtyard, Mo Hong and Zhao Wuji will find out immediately. When the time comes, people like them in the spiritual god realm will naturally not be able to face the encirclement and suppression by the masters in the blue god realm. Of course it's not that simple. However, it depends on human nature. Maybe we can get away with breaking these restrictions. Xiao Xian's face was solemn. Now, it seems there is no better way. Longfei Longwu was also silent for a moment. They could also hear that Xiao Xian's move was also a dangerous move, and if he was not careful, it might lead to an irreversible situation. But now, it seems that they have the only way to go. Okay, so what can we do for you, Long Fei was also a straightforward person and asked Xiaoxian directly. I need to fuse a pill to increase the power of the soul to the Taixu middle realm, so that I can be sure to break these restrictions. Xiaoxian looked serious. Taixu middle realm. This Master Xiao is really the most evil cultivator I have ever seen. Long Fei took a breath of air. Once, he heard his master, old man Longhu, talk about the state of spiritual soul cultivation. The difficulty of cultivators practicing together with the divine soul is several times more difficult than that of Taoist cultivation. Not only is soul condensation cultivation extremely difficult, but also if you want to make progress in future cultivation, the same it requires rare geniuses and treasures, otherwise it will be difficult to make any progress. Not to mention the Taixu middle realm, even the Taixu beginning realm, this is already considered a high-level spiritual god realm, a soul that can only be cultivated by masters of the blue god realm. Who knew that Xiaoxian, a cultivator in the spiritual realm, could cultivate it? This made Long Fei and Long Wu look at Xiaoxian with surprise and envy, wishing that they could have such a talent as Xiaoxian. But, how long will it take young master Xiaoxian? Envy was envy, and Long Fei had to consider the current specific situation. Within a day, Xiaoxian confidently took out a jade box. Speaking of this matter, Xiaoxian really wanted to thank Wei Qinglan. How can this not make them jealous? I heard Long Fei mention Xiao Xiao again. It was the demon blood melting pill he got in the secret realm. In fact, when he first got this elixir, Xiaoxian was still a little confused and didn't know what the elixir was for. Regarding this point, perhaps others will not care about this matter, but Xiaoxian has walked through hardships along the way. The path of cultivation is so difficult and dangerous, and his perception of danger is naturally different from ordinary people. I have always been thinking about Gongsun Xiao Xiao. Ordinary people may practice hard for a lifetime and finally make some progress in their cultivation, but people like Gongsun Xiao Xiao are better off. But soon I got a prompt from the system. Although now, he still can't see what the relationship between Long Fei and Gongsun Xiao Xiao is. Without the energy of the divine soul before, he might not be able to raise the strength of the divine soul to the middle realm of Taixu even with the demonic blood melting pill. Within one day, our senior brothers and sisters promise that no one will disturb young Master Xiaoxian. Please rest assured, young Master Xiaoxian. Why would such a person only care about Gongsun Xiao Xiao? If there is no problem in this, Xiaoxian definitely doesn't believe it. Is it really just for a hint of inner kindness? Of course, these doubts of his were not just stated casually. Just relying on his own bloodline is enough to rank among the strong. But it is undeniable that they must have some unusual relationships, otherwise Long Oman can be regarded as a sect within the Kang Long Empire, and according to what Long Fei said, his master Long Hu old man can also be regarded as a master. The strength should at least be at the high level of the spiritual god realm. Xiaoxian felt helpless and envious in his heart. According to the system, Gongsun Xiaoxiao's talent is extremely unparalleled. Based on the sword embryo she was born with, as long as she does not die unexpectedly, it is certain that she will become the blue god realm or even the golden god realm in the future. Of course, this is also thanks to Wei Qinglan who sent a wave of dream spirit magical artifacts before. It turns out that this heavenly demon blood melting pill is used to strengthen the power of the soul. According to system calculations, with Xiaoxian's current strength, if he can swallow this pill, the power of the soul should be able to barely reach the Taixu middle realm. In the end, this kind of thing still aroused Xiaoxian's incomprehension. You must know that Long Fei and Long Wu are both cultivators, so they naturally understand how difficult it is to practice together. And if given enough opportunities, she might not be able to become the top dragon god realm. When hearing the news, Xiaoxian was a little more curious and doubtful in his heart. Xiaoxian couldn't help but be a little suspicious. Good. In the secret realm, Long Fei also seemed a little uneasy. He and Long Fei had been together for a long time. In Zhulo City, Long Fei, Long Wu, and a group of Long Omen disciples had a conflict with the prince over the original stone. These two realms are already considered the backbone of most sects on the Dao continent. The most important basis is Gongsun Xiaoxiu's heaven-defying talent. Those precious cultivation resources are so hard-earned. Long Fei gritted his teeth slightly. In addition, I hope that Master Xiao Xian can help save Xiao Xiao in the future. It was good now that Long Fei gave up so many cultivation resources for a child he had never met before.